Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for joining me again today. Thank you so much for taking your time to join the conversation about self-esteem. Wow, this is our fourth edition, and yes, it's been a journey. I'm just going to try and share my screen 1 minute. Thank you so much for joining me in this edition of Self-Esteem. Let's talk about self-esteem. Thank you so much. It's been a journey, and today's our fourth edition, as I said, and we are looking at stuck in survival mode. Yes, so we've had a talk about self-esteem, what self-esteem means. We've had another talk about limiting beliefs, what are limiting beliefs, and our last edition was on imposter syndrome. So yeah, if you have missed any of these editions, which were really, really packed with a lot of good stuff in, never mind. The good news is it's all part of my book that will be coming out really, really soon. And we will be making some of these videos also available for you to watch within the next few weeks. So yeah, so today we have a lot of stuff that has been packed for our presentation today. And I hope that you will not just stay tuned, but also engage in the sessions with me. So we are streaming across a lot of different platforms. So yes, it's going to be an interesting hour, and hopefully a little bit over an hour as we go into today. So I'm just going to go through some of the things that we have for today's session. Welcome everybody that is joining us from across the different platforms. Thank you so much for giving up your time, and I do hope that it'll be worth your while. I do hope that at the end of the session you would be able to go away with a lot of things that can be valuable to yourself and also to the people that are around you. So some of the things we're going to be looking at, we're going to be looking at the concept of change and how that affects us as individuals, as organizations, as business owners, in whatever capacity that you are operating, the concept of change and adaptability and its risk. And we'll also be looking at survival mode, how to move from survival mode to thriving. We'll have a lot of questions and answers. So if you do have questions, please, I'm going to just encourage you to stay to the end and ask any questions that you may ask. And guess what? There's going to be an announcement at the end of my presentation. So stay tuned to hear my very, very special announcements that I'll be sharing with you all today. So at the end of today's presentation, you will hopefully understand what the concept of change is, how to adjust to life conditions, adaptability, and more importantly, how do you move from survival mode to thriving? Now, all of this good stuff are extracts from my book that is going to be coming out really, really, really soon. So do stay tuned, hold fast to your seatbelts. Snapback is just round the corner. And if you haven't met me, if this is the first time that you're listening to my podcast, my webinar. My name is Fumi Oni. I am a life coach, a personal performance coach. I'm a therapeutic counselor, and my area of expertise, which is not limited to these that have been listed, is low self-esteem, confidence, career development, or career change. Premarital, now I am really passionate about premarital counseling and also marriage counseling intervention. So these are my core areas where I specialize, but I also do work in other areas, working with children. I have worked with children in schools in the past, so I do have that skill set to support young people as well. Right. Before we go into the session, a few ground rules. Please, if you have any question, leave it to the end. But if you think it's quite burning, please communicate with me. I'd like you to interact with me throughout the session through the chat box. Make sure that your mic is on mute or true, but please engage with me through the chat. So I will be dipping into the chat box from time to time to see what questions that you may ask or what contributions that you also want to bring to the table, because we are all learning. Yes. So change. What is change? What is change? We do know that change, we all face change in life, right? We all face change in life in different ways, whether it's a simple change of the weather. You know, we do face change. So change simply means an act or process through which something becomes different. That is change. So it alters, it modifies. Change happens to all of us, to every single person. Imagine a baby being born. Babies do experience their fastest growth change in the first year. So imagine a baby that was born, a tiny baby, and at the end of the first year, the baby's grown in height, in size, is able to do a lot of different things that it wasn't able to do just 12 months earlier when it first came. So change happens to all of us. It affects us in different ways. We deal with change differently as well. The way we deal with change, it's different. The only thing that is constant in life is change. We all experience change. So to experience change, how does it affect us? How does change affect us? To expect change has brought me personally hope. I look at change with an attitude of hope. But then sometimes when change happens, it rocks the equilibrium of my being, and it affects me in a different way. So we're going to be looking at how change affects us as individuals. Now, change can also bring fear. It can bring hope. It can bring fear, depending on the type of change. You know, I've come to realize that circumstances or the changes that it takes my life, right, and how I do things, rather than it can determine how I react. So I've decided to not be reactive in certain ways as much as I possibly can, and learn to handle disruptions in change. So Heraclitus said, the only constant thing in life is what? Is change. That's the only thing that is constant. Every other thing, in fact, you may say, but change is a constant occurrence in life. It's a law of life. Change is a law of life. And John F. Kennedy actually said that those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. And that is a very powerful quote from John F. Kennedy. Only those, you know, so when you're constantly considering what could have been, or you constantly just considering your present state, then you possibly would miss what the future holds for you. And why do you have to adapt to change? Jim Rohn, another very popular speaker, said, your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. It gets better by change. Henry Miller, he says, one's destination is never a place, but what? Rather, a new way of looking at things. So there are these are lots of powerful quotes that tickles, our thought, our imagination. Improving your self-confidence isn't a one and done thing. Rather, it's something that we have to keep practicing. We have to keep practicing. And we're sure to encounter ups and downs along the way. Some days will go all wrong, but then sometimes things would go right. We can't, because something has happened in the past that has, brought about the thing on unnecessary feelings that we're not happy with, then we stay there. No, we do have to just keep going. We may be making mistakes along the way. Some mistakes might be embarrassing, but we have to just keep going. Now, for the sake of today's presentation, I'm going to be splitting change into two. Now, this is not set in stone, it's just for illustration purposes. I'm going to divide change into good change and bad change, right? Examples of good change: promotion. When we experience a promotion in a place of work, in the line of our duties, it's a good thing. We welcome such change with open hands. When we relocate for a good reason, sometimes relocation may not necessarily be, for the reason that we expect or want them to be, but if they are planned, right? If those changes are planned, then we look forward to relocating, we look forward to the new house. It's a good thing. Another change, which we possibly will be happy with, or we should be happy, is when we get married, when you have children. These are classed as good change. When you get a new job, you've aspired, you've put in the work, you've done your interviews, and you landed a job. You are excited. You might feel a little bit, unstable on your feet or unsure because of the unexpected things that you don't know, but because it brings in a higher remuneration, comes with a lot of other good packages, you are excited, you are happy, you consider that as a good change. Graduation, you've done all the work, to all the students out there, and you finally graduated. And imagine you've graduating with the kind of qualifications that you expected, the results that you wanted. That is exciting, that is good. So that is a good change. Now, you would notice that all of these type of changes are planned. They are planned changes, right? So if there is a level of expectation that this change would happen, so you are prepared in your mind, you are prepared in your mental state for that change to happen. So you embrace it, you're happy, you work towards it, you look for. But then there are some changes that are not planned for, that are not expected. At the beginning, I was saying that the weather, for example. Now, on this side of the globe, it's cold. We're experiencing winter. So there are seasons. So we know we have the autumn season, we have the winter, we have summer, and then we have spring. Those weathers, they are kind of, in a way, set in time, even though with global warming, things are being changed, but we still are within that same fact. So when it's warm, it's summer, you won't go about with a thick jacket, winter jacket in summer, because your system, your body is adapting to that change. So yes, this is summer, you're happy. Winter, some people prefer it when it's warm, some people prefer it when it's cold. Either season, but the gist is, that this season are changing and you expect it. So there is a level of preparation that you put into those changes that are coming your way. So they are expected. But what happens when change comes in that you did not expect? So I put that in the category of bad change, right? A loss of job. It's not a good change, because not only have you lost your job, you've lost your source of income, and peradventure you are the kind of person that have people who are relying on you, for their own bread and butter. There's a lot of, stress, a lot of different emotions that comes with the loss of job. So that is a bad change. Remember, some people know that, okay, some things might happen, but for a lot of people, especially during this pandemic, a lot of people have lost their jobs unexpectedly. A lot of people during the economic change that we're going through, there's just a lot that is going on. Businesses, loss of businesses, that is a change that is not desirable. Sickness is another one. Having long-term illnesses has a knock-on effect also on our, emotions, on our self-esteem, our confidence. And that is a change that we don't look forward to, because you always think of the good times when you weren't ill. You think about the things that you are able to do when you were okay, and suddenly you have this illness that you have to deal with. So that is a change that we don't really want, but life happens. These things do happen to us. These things do happen to us. The other one is inflation. Oh my, oh my. Now, if you are living in this time and season, the cost of living, they say in the UK is at about, is it 4%? Not sure of my statistics, but it's in the 10 years, it's not been this high in the UK. You go to get your fuel, probably used to cost you about £45 to fill your tank like mine. Now it's almost double to fill in the same tank with fuel. And unfortunately, income, revenue has remained the same. Your revenue has not increased at the same level at which the cost of living is. So the cost of living is gone up, inflation. What knock-on effect does that have on you as a person? What knock-on effect does inflation have on your household, on your family, on the people that are around you? These changes are not desirable. They are not good changes. And the last one I put here is death. That happens. Nobody wishes for that to happen, but we are in this world. So it does happen. People are leaving this world. And the people who leave, right, we are in a way, depending on how or when they've gone. We who are left behind, the family, the friends, are the ones that are left grappling with a hole that they've left behind. That is a change, the loss of a loved one, a close family member, a friend. That gap may not be filled, but it's a change that happens. It's a change that happens. How do we cope with these changes? How do we, deal with it, with the emotions, with the trauma? What do we do to support ourselves in these stages when we experience these types of changes? And that takes me to the next thing that I want to talk about, which is adaptability. Now, I've defined here, adaptability has the ability of being able to adjust to new conditions, our ability to adjust. So because there is a change, there is a need to adjust. And remember, we said change is constant. So there is a need for us as human beings, as people, to find a way to adapt to the ever-changing conditions that we find ourselves. Now, human beings have been created to adapt to situations and circumstances. We have the ability to change, to adapt to new surroundings and environments. So my question is, how are you adapting and thriving during these, difficult times? If, we're all going through the pandemic, apart from the pandemic, because sometimes we can fall into the place where that's about the only thing that is happening. There are just a lot of other things that are happening apart from the pandemic that is rocking our boats, that is shifting us, that is moving us out of our comfort zone. So how are you as a person adapting and thriving during this difficult time? I would like to hear from you. So please, engage me. Put your answers in the chat box. So we're going to look at some of the benefits, right, of adapting. We're going to be looking at benefits. Yes, it's important as human beings that we adapt, but what are the importance? What are the benefits? How can we adapt? It's a skill that we learn. And oftentimes they say when they throw you into the deep waters, you would have to learn to swim because you want to survive, right? You will just find a way of paddling, of moving those legs because nobody wants to drown. And that's what's happened when we are faced with changes, whether desirable or undesirable, we learn to adapt. Some things you can learn on the job. Some things you can learn by doing. Thank you so much. Someone said, just going with the flow, you change your approach or pray and ask her, and that's important. Thank you. Yes, we go with the flow, we change our approach, and prayer is important. Thank you for that. Adaptability has a skill. So some of the benefits of adjusting to change includes developing certain skill sets and using certain types of tools, right? So we learn them and we apply them. So I'm going to walk us through some of these tools or some of the skills that we need to use. Oops, I think I just skipped. Self-management. Now we all have the skill in one way or the other. We all kind of apply it, whether you are, an individual, a student, or you work in an organization, you run your own business. There's a way you manage your skills. So some people do it better than the others, but we all use it. For students, for example, they have what we call time management logs, where they log all the different tasks that they need to do and map out the times, skill that they need to complete that task. Some organizations have task lists to measure performance, so they're just different skills out there that we learn to use to manage time and to manage our resources, especially when change happens. There are certain things that we just have to employ on the journey as we go along. My slide is skipping ahead of me. Now, decision-making skills. This is key. This is a key skill that we use in times of change, whether it's planned or unplanned. Something has happened. How do we analyze the situation? What kind of plans can we put in place to evaluate so that we can possibly, employ the best solution that would help in that situation? Now, one of the tools that I use a lot and I also share with my client base is SWOT, the SWOT analysis. So, it's important that at a time when that change happens, what strengths do you have? What are the weaknesses that you foresee that you think can hinder you from, navigating you out of that situation? Or what opportunities are in that situation that has happened that you can tap into, that can help you. And also the threats. What threats are there that can also, rock your boat or cause you to get stuck? Organizations use this. Some organizations, when they merge with another organizations, that's a change, that's a huge change. So if you are in an organization where, you're an employee and there's a merger, what do you use? What steps do you know? What are those decision-making tools that you need to apply? There are a lot of them out there, problem-solving tools that can also be used. Having problem-solving skills enables you to make vital decisions for yourself, whether you're in a leadership role, logical reasoning, intuition, and emotional intelligence is another big one as well. You being aware, not just about the things that you need to apply, but also conscious of the impact that your decisions would make on your colleagues, for example, your family members, example, that would enable you and empower you to empathize with them as well. Positive thinking and optimism. I can't say the word. Now, having a positive approach to unpleasant situations, right, is important. That's another key skill that we need to have when we have to adapt to a situation that is unpleasant. How can you see a situation that is unpleasant, that has just occurred or just happened? How can you see it in a positive light? How can you extract something positive out of it? So when you have a positive mindset, when you're able to retain your calm posture, you're composed in the face of challenging situations, you would be able to think positively. You will be able to think logically, so that's important to have. Now, some of the disadvantages now of not being able to adapt is stress. Now, stress is a big thing. It's quite huge. Stress-related medical and psychiatric illnesses, Mental health is a big issue, especially in this day and age. Mental health, when you don't have the right skill set to adapt to changes, then you will be stressed. I don't know about you, but I will be stressed when things happen. I remember when I first started presenting, and I get so confused with all the intricacies of, technology, I freeze. I look at the time and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to have to go live in a couple of minutes, and things that are not just looking like it, I just go into panic mode and I freeze. And sometimes for the first few minutes, and one of the signs of you being stressed, you going into panic mode is dryness of mouth, isn't it? My mouth will just become dry and my voice will become croaky. And that's adding to the stress that I'm already feeling because things are not going my way. But I've soon learned to adapt to those situations. I've got my water here, but I'm good. Stress, if it's not managed properly, can cause us to be anxious, right? Anxiety. And anxiety with stress experienced over a period of time can lead to depression. And it just goes down from there, depression to self-harm, which is on the rise amongst teenagers. And there's a lot of research out there. Some of these have been reported by the BBC, self-harm, because the pandemic that has happened has caused a lot of stress to a lot of young people, adults also. Why? Because this is the first time ever in their life that they've had to go through the pandemic where they've lost social, they've lost touch with their friends, so the social skills are being affected. That is stressful for them. And because it's not happened before, they've not got the skills to adapt, to deal with the situation. And I'm hoping that very soon all of this will come to an end and everyone will come out better on the other side for it. Another thing also is fear-based mode of thinking. Fear-based mode of thinking. So instead of critically analyzing the situation and employing a tactical approach, what do? We resort to short-term solutions because we are in a fear mode. We are in a fear mode. So we're not thinking logically. We're not thinking out. We like the example that I shared just then, we are in a freeze, flight, or flee mode. And now there are two sides to the coin with adaptability, right? You can adapt to long-term changes, but then there are also some changes that would require a short-term solution that would help you, especially where you find yourself in a fear-based situation. You've just possibly, maybe you just lost your job and you're thinking, what do I need to do to put food on the table? What do I need to do to pay the bills? What do I need to do? So rather than you waiting on your desirable kind of job, for example, you're looking out for a short-term, well, any kind of job, just so that income comes in. And such situations can cause us to be stuck in a survival mode. It can trigger us, or not trigger, it can stop us from getting into the best thing that we can possibly get to. Because if you've lost your job, and we won't lose our jobs, but if one had just lost a job and you had to quickly get any type of job to get income coming in, but remember, it's not your desirable kind of job. It's just something that you've done for the temporal basis while you look for a better job, or whilst you try and get yourself a qualification that can get you your desired kind of job. And then the plan is to do it for 3 months or for 1 year, you're still on that job. 5 years, you're still on that job. 10 years, you're stuck. You've lost sight of your dreams. You've lost sight of your vision. You've lost sight of the kind of person that you were or that you desire to be, because of the short-term solution that has now become permanent, has now become an issue. So that is an example. You've lost, or maybe you unfortunately you experienced, you got involved in an accident, and you found it difficult getting back into the level of fitness that you had before, but you've just now become out of the fact that, you can't do what you want to do. You've held yourself back. You've stayed in that situation. You stopped there. You are stuck in survival mode. You've allowed fear of the unknown to hold you. You've allowed a temporary measure that you put around you to become a permanent feature in your life. Relationship breakdowns. The measures we put in when our relationship is not going well, when we are sickness, or when we've lost someone. For some people, they just close the door, they shut the door to anything called social life because someone has treated them badly. They live in that space, they live in that time. they've closed their minds to any possibility of anything good ever happening to them. You've lost someone dear to you. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it's unexpected. But then you've decided, because that has happened, you now live in fear that another person close to you might die. Another person close to you, that is a constant fear. So what do? You don't go out, or you try and build, some kind of fence around them to prevent whatever that you think might happen. It's a measure that could help you to heal, but what are you doing to heal? What are you doing to move on? So these are the kind of things that we're talking about today. Stuck in survival mode. Are you stuck? Do you know anyone that is close to you that is stuck in survival mode? Okay, sorry. So some of the signs that would tell you that for sure it looks like you might be stuck is if you feel like you are in a deep hole and you're just grasping and you can't get out. Or if you find that you are unable to make long-term plans or goals because of the fear or the experiences you've had in the past. If you also find that you are reactive, you're constantly reactive to situations, you're constantly, on edge. It might be because you're not where you should be, maybe. If you're constantly feeling stressed, pressured, then that also could be a telltale sign that you are stuck. Another feature of people who are stuck are people pleasers. They're constantly just doing things to please other people. They're not thinking about themselves, right? Or they feel guilty if they do anything near good. They feel guilty, they feel ashamed, or they just get busy. That's another thing. You just get yourself busy so that you don't think about the things that you really need to be doing, the thing that you should actually be doing. You're just busy doing every other thing apart from what really matters. Are you stuck in survival mode? Is that why you're doing what you're doing? So just have a think and reflect on some of these, patterns of behaviors that could be pointers that my actions are actually influenced by fear and not by faith, not by, So let's have a think. We are not designed to stay in survival mode, right? Survival mode is a temporary place for us to regain our composure, to regain our strength, to heal. It's a place where we need to readjust, refocus, and realign our thought process. That is what that is for. That space, that time, a temporary place. It's a temporary time frame that we put around us to help us to regain our energy. That's what we should be doing. So I'm going to be working with us. I'm going to be talking with us some of the things that we need to do that can help us. I'm just going to share 4 powerful steps that would empower us to strive and to just snap out of that situation that we find ourselves in. And hopefully would help us to, become excited about life again. So the 4th thing is for us to create a vision for your life. You need to create a vision for your life. The other one is to get out of your comfort zone, because the brain, the way the brain is formed is to make sure that we're comfortable. It doesn't really like being stretched. Accept accountability. Embrace hopeful optimism. How do you create a vision for your life? What are your values? What are your values? What do you stand for? Ask yourself these questions. What are the key experiences and accomplishments that you want to achieve in your lifetime? Now, note that in your lifetime, what would you like to be remembered for? What are those things that you know are your values? And what do you stand for? These are things, they are pointers that would help you to understand what your vision is. Now, we know in part, right? But the little that you know, write it down, work towards it, aim for it. And you just begin to discover that other things begin to unfold. As the old saying goes, it doesn't matter what path you take, right? If you don't know where you want to go, it doesn't matter. So you need to have an idea where you want to go, right? You need to know where you want to go. Because if you don't know where you want to go, it doesn't matter what path you take. It will lead you anywhere, but not where you want to go. You don't, because why? You don't know. So identify your values and your accomplishment. Without a clear vision of the life that you want to create for yourself, it becomes impossible. So the other one is get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone. That's just important. That you need to do what? Get out of your comfort zone. Growth is attained when you push yourself beyond your comfort zone. Now, this guy on your screen, I'm sure you all know. If you don't know who he is, just put a question mark in the chat box. And if you do, please, can I have a thumbs up if you know who this fellow is on your screen? Let's give me a thumbs up. And I'm not going to move until I get all my thumbs up. So let's get going. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Yes, he's called The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson was born into a professional wrestling family in 1972, right? But guess what? He had an injury which ended his college football career. So what did he do? He entered the ring with the WWE, the World Wrestling, as The Rock. So he got himself a nickname, The Rock. So I think that tells me that he has a focus. You don't go around calling yourself The Rock if you are feeling feeble and weak. You must have an element of self-belief for you to call yourself The Rock, right? And he won many times. He won so many times. And then after, he moved into the movie world, and the rest is history. We see him, we know him, all the different things that he's been able to achieve with his life. Listen, every cell in your body and brain is continuously fighting to preserve a sense of comfort or stability. Every single cell. And that is why it's just so easy to fall into habits, but difficult to get out of them. It's very easy to form habits because you adapt. Talking about adaptability, you just get used to doing it. But for you to move out, yeah, there would be an element of restriction, Scientists also. Now, scientists would have to try and test before they are able to come out with a solution. For example, the vaccine that is out there to help combat COVID. They have to just keep trying. They don't just do it once. They have to keep trying and trying and trying. We know athletes like this guy. I'm sure he wasn't born with all of these muscles that he had. He had to, build. He had to, be resilient, to keep going for him to build up his muscles the way we are. So we also need to build up our mental muscles to get out of our comfort zone. The next one is accept accountability. There is a quote here that I have, and I'm just going to quickly share this with you. It's from Vincent Peale. He said, the moment you no longer experience fear of obstacles in your life, then you had better get down on your knees and pray for some. Why? Because the only people who aren't afraid of hurdles or fear are those buried 6 feet underground. So that tells us that every person has an element of fear in them. Everybody. Now, what they do with that fear is what makes the difference. Everyone, whoever you are, be you the president of the United States or, or whoever it is that you are, no matter how high you've attained in your career, there is an element of fear that you have, and that's what keeps you going. So accepting accountability is important. It's important. Accept accountability. How do you do that? Accountability will help you to become more committed if there's someone that you're accountable to, because that person would prod you, would encourage you, motivate you, check in with you to see if you've done what you said you're going to do. And that takes you a little step at a time ahead into those things that you have planned for yourself to do. Be it around your health, be it around your career, be it around your business, be it around your family, whatsoever it is. Accountability is important. It would help you it will make a honest person out of you. Sometimes, we can deceive ourselves, but when another person is involved, it's hard, isn't it? So that's some of the things that accountability would help you to achieve. Integrity as well, growth. You have a better relationship or relationships. Accountability. And we'll say embrace hopeful optimism. Embrace hopeful optimism. The difference between optimism and hope is that optimism is a mindset, right? And hope is an expectation. So you need a combination of the two for you to get unstuck, to come out of that place of hopelessness that you might have found yourself. That circle, that vicious circle that you're in. You need to be hopeful and you need to have a positive mindset. Combination of positive mindset and hope. That's what keeps us going. If you've got any questions, please put in the chat box, any question contributions so far. So in order to help us to remember some of the things that we've been talking about from the beginning of today's presentation, I have a couple of activities for you that I would like you to do as we speak. The first one, I would like you to think about and write just 2 new things that you think you can start to do or learn this week. I don't think 2 is a lot. So, but if you can think of more than 2 things, you're welcome to do so. And share with me, if you may, in the chat box, what are those 2 things that you feel you can start doing that can help you this week? Because we've been talking about change, adaptability skills that we can employ to different types of change that we experience in life. So if you now understand what those means and you want to get unstuck, What are those two things? It can be your job, it can be related to your job, it can be related to your business, your relationships, your career, whatever sphere of your life that you think it's involved. Think of two things and write them down. What are those two things that you would like to change this week? While you're thinking of that, the other activity says you should write down 5 things. So I'm just going to ask us to do this, either one that is more convenient for you. You want to write 5 things that is outside your comfort zone that you would like to achieve and be accountable to. Because we've talked about accountability and how important accountability is. Thank you so much. So I have to get out of my comfort zone and be more intentional. That is really beautiful. Yes, to desire to do that. But, you know, in order for it to really work, I'm going to ask you to zone in and be a bit more specific, at least on 1 or 2 things that you think, right, okay, I want to get out of my comfort zone. This is what I'm going to do, no matter how little it is. Remember, baby step matters, a little step at a time. So what is that little step that you think, okay, I'm going to do this week? And then we become your accountability partners today and say, yes, this is what I'm going to do this week. That's going to help me move a little bit out of my comfort zone, so that you can get unstuck. So if you're listening, if you're on any of the other platforms, please write in whatever chat box that you have available to you, and let's know what are those things that we can hold your hands together that will support you in doing the things that you really want to do, but you are struggling or you're unable to do for, you know, there are various reasons why we don't do or can't do the things that we want to do. So what are those things that you think, I've had a think, I've had a thought, I would like to do this now. Okay, so we're nearing the end of today's presentation. Can you please let me know one thing that you are going to take away from today's session? What's that one thing that you think you're going to take away? It might be something that you've known before and you've been reminded of, that you would like to take away from today. I'd like you to share that with me as well. What is that one thing that you would like to take away from today's meeting? One thing that you would like to take away. You'd like to be more intentional, to adapt to more skills, paying attention to short-term plans. Thank you. Yes, you like to pay attention to short-term plans. Yes, thank you so much. You're happy that yes, there are changes. There are changes that happens every day. You like to become more informed, use more skills. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Right, we're going to move into the next one. Oh, and be more constructive about my approach to change. Yes, being more constructive. It's putting them down to the letter T of what I'm going to do today. Sometimes just, I'm going to do this, but not actually putting it down also can influence us in not doing the things that we should be doing. So thank you so much for your time today. Yes, so my announcement, snapback. I'm just so super excited to share with you today that after so many months of work, putting in things, reviewing, editing, and all of that comes with writing a book, my book launch. You guys will be the first set of people to hear about it. So I'm excited. It's going to happen on the 11th of December. Yay! 11th of December. So I am super excited. The book is coming out live on the 11th of December. We're going to have the launch. So please, thank you. Please save the day. Don't go away. And guess what? The beautiful thing about it is it's going to be virtual. So yes, more details about the time will be shared closer to the time. But on the 11th of December, we shall be launching Snapback, how to build a resilient lifestyle, how to build your self-esteem, your self-confidence, what self-care approaches you need that can, elevate you, the lifestyle that you will be proud of. So Snapback is coming out on the 11th of December. Yes. So finally, I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to every one of you, my family, my friends, everyone for the journey so far. All these webinars that we've had are taken from the book. So you can imagine the book is fully packed. It's quite loaded. Self-esteem, imposter syndrome, limiting beliefs, and a lot more are in the book with workbooks, exercises that you can use after every single chapter. So there is a workbook, there's an exercise, that exercises that you can use. So you read a chapter, do the exercise, implement it, move to the next one. So it's quite intense, quite packed with a lot of goodness. So I'm excited. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you've got any questions and answers or anything at all that you want to know, that you want to hear about, please let me know. Thank you so much for the congratulatory messages coming through. Thank you. So webinars, they are all free. Please, there are the links there for you if you want to look at upcoming webinars that I have. If you want to pre-book the book, please go to my to the website address www.boostmyselfconfidence.com. Quite a lot of people have shown interest already. So please, I would like you to just quickly go on your phone and type in www.boostmyselfconfidence.com. All my handles are Gordium CC on all the different platforms, on Instagram, on Twitter. Thank you so much for your time today. I am happy that you guys came along. So this is the book. I can't wait to put a signed copy in your hands. So as many that signed up before the launch day, I will try and get you guys a signed copy as much as I possibly can. Yes, so thank you so much today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I am grateful. I've had, probably, I hope this would help you and anyone that you know. So thank you so much for coming. I look forward to seeing you on the 11th of December. Save that date. Thank you and God bless you. Any questions, please? Any questions before I get out of here? Any questions? You've got my handles, so if you want to send me personal questions, feel free. But yes, thank you. Have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of the day, the week, whatever time of the day is where you are. Enjoy it, and till I come your way again. See you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.